What is going on, guys? Money Webby here, back again, week 5 with my favorite waiver wire pickups of the week. Got a few guys at every position to really help out your lineups and stuff like that if you're going through some injuries or your players are just underperforming. So we got some great pickups, a little bit more meat in the bone this week on the waiver wire. I think some more guys kind of stepping up to the plate. So before we get going, be sure to drop a like in the video. It really helps me out so I can continue to bring these waiver wire pickups to you every single week. And if you happen to be new here to the channel, hit that sub button. You get these waiver wire pickups every week. I do DFS videos covering my favorite picks for DraftKings. Every single week I go by more kind of cash game plays earlier in the week, guys not considering ownership, and then later in the week I cover some tournament plays with some under-owned guys that can really pop off in their matchups. And you can follow me on Twitter at MoneyWebby for any kind of more in-depth questions on who to pick up and how to kind of deal with your roster if you have some questions with that kind of stuff, or you can just comment on the video down below with your questions. So do all that good stuff, and let's get into it. Running backs first up. So we got TJ Yeldon with Fournette. The guy can't stay healthy. It's hamstring injury. It's popping up every single week, it looks like. So according to Adam Schefter, it looks like he could be likely to miss another 2 to 3 weeks with this hamstring injury. So that puts TJ Yeldon in the running back 2 conversation, I think, with Fournette off the field again. He's 50% owned, so he might be owned in your league. But if you're a Fournette owner or one of these running backs that are hurt, like Dalvin Cook or something like that, Freeman that's kind of been out for a little while now, and you need someone to step up, I think you should go and get TJ Yeldon, a nice plug-and-play running back 2 for the foreseeable future until we get Fournette back on the field. So I really like that one, probably my favorite one of the week. Definitely good for short term. I have these running backs kind of listed in the order how I would go attack them on the waiver wire. So number 2 is going to be Nyheim Hines here. This is considering PPR scoring, and he's been a beast in the receiving game over the past couple of weeks. The last 2 games, I think, he's had 14 catches on the whole entire year. He has 22 catches. In week 2, they weren't really passing the ball as much because they were up the whole entire game, and it was kind of a bad game script. But it looks like this Colts team is going to be kind of working from behind for the most part, and they can't run the ball at all. So that means their running game will kind of be like short passing to guys like Ryan Grant, Hines, Ebron, and maybe Jack Doyle when he comes back. So I think Hines is going to carry some good PPR scoring ability for the rest of the year, and he's been getting a good amount of snaps, 73% in week 3, and then in week 4 he got 69% of the snaps. So a good amount of ability on the field. Like, that's probably like top 20 in the league among running backs for a snap share. So definitely good there. And he's had 26 targets in the whole entire year. That's 6th most among running backs. So he's definitely a great guy considering his ability in the backfield receiving. Like, that's a good opportunity to reach upside when a guy is so active in the receiving game. And if he can just get a few kind of rushing yards here and there and has the ability to score, because he's going to be in the red zone a good amount when they kind of spread it out and stuff like that, because they can't run the ball at all. So Nyheim Hines had a crazy catch over Tyrann Mathieu. Looked like a wide receiver, kind of posterized him in the end zone. So I really like him. He's probably the one guy I would try to go out and get, as he's 15% owned, so he's probably available in your league. And then next up, I mention him every single week, Aguilar. If he's available, you can go and get him too. The kind of same thing goes if Melvin Gordon goes down. The guy's going to be a stud. He already is a stud every time he gets the ball, but Melvin Gordon's so good. He doesn't have great upside with Gordon still there, so kind of more of a stash and then kind of like a low-end flex play week in, week out. But then Buck Allen, 62% owned. He's probably owned in your league, but if he's not, he's continuing to look pretty solid. And Alex Collins messed up in the red zone again. He fumbled against the Steelers, so that could open up the door again for some more red zone touches for Buck Allen. And he should be good for around 10 touches a game with the ability to score. So a good flex play, I guess. It doesn't really have the upside you're looking for, but he can get in the end zone and get a few grabs. And then Ronald Jones, this is more of a stash play. I liked him coming into the year because I thought he looked pretty good in college, but he played really bad in the preseason. I don't think most of that was his fault, honestly. I was watching, like, over the offseason, during the preseason, I watched most of his runs, and most of it was just the offensive line creating no holes for him, so he couldn't really do anything, so he looked really bad. But this guy has a lot more pop and ability compared to Peyton Barber, and Barber has been terrible in the first 4 games, averaging 3 yards per carry. So it looks like Ronald Jones should be able to take over this backfield after their bye week. They have a bye this week. He got 32% of the snaps in this past game. I think he kind of manhandled most of the snaps, like after they got down like 1,000,000 points to the Bears. But Jones adds a lot more upside to this offense, and I think he could be like a running back 3 on your team if he can take over the lion's share of the work. The offensive line still is a question mark, but I think he could be pretty active in the receiving game as well. So definitely a good speculative ad, if that's the right word, but has the upside. He's a round 2 pick for this team, so they got to see what they got in him. And Peyton Barber, not a very good running back. So for my final one, another stash play here. Nick Chubb, 19% owned, and he looked extremely good in this last game against Oakland. Had 3 carries for 105 yards and 2 touchdowns. So that's pretty much as good as you can do with limited opportunities. Like, he made a sick kind of little juke move to get free for one of his long runs and had another nice little long run. So he looks definitely fully healthy. That was kind of concern from him coming out of college, is that he did have that ACL injury. So there was a question mark of whether he was fully recovered. But he definitely looks 100%, look really good. I think he'll start pushing Hyde for some more touches. Could get closer to like 10 touches a game in the next few weeks. And then by around like week 10, I could see Nick Chubb being the go-to guy for this Browns offense as they kind of look forward to the future, as their offense is pretty young right now. Like, they got Baker Mayfield, Jarvis Landry, Njoku, Callaway. All these guys are young and upcoming guys. So if they can get Nick Chubb involved as well, really good like future offense. So I think he has the ability, if the talent wins out there, to be a nice little running back, low-end running back 2 potentially, or running back 3 there as well. So those are kind of how I would rank it. Top to bottom there. So the bottom guys, more stash guys. Middle, Ekular and Allen, if they're available. More kind of this low upside unless the guy gets hurt ahead of them. Flex plays. And Hines could be like a nice little low-end running back 2 in PPR for the next couple weeks, maybe even the rest of the year, as long as it stays how it's going right now. So that's what I would do for running back. And now for wide receiver, Antonio Callaway, I mentioned him the last couple weeks. But the fact remains, he's getting a ton of opportunities in this offense, 9 and 10 targets the last 2 weeks, and he's actually 5th in air yards from week 2 to week 4. So week 1, he didn't play at all with Josh Gordon there, but with Gordon gone, the last 3 weeks, he's had 391 air yards. So air yards, if you don't know what that is, it's like the how far the ball travels every time he gets targeted. So a lot of these passes, he's either like kind of dropped a few, or the quarterback's just missed them by a little bit when he's been open. So the opportunity has been there for some huge plays. Hasn't been able to capitalize on it, but with the ability, the opportunity he's getting with those air yards, the targets, I think he could continue to get better as the year goes on. And we know that Baker Mayfield is a good quarterback. He should continue to progress as the year goes on and develop some more chemistry with Callaway on those deep shots. So I think that's a really good option. I think he's going to be a wide receiver 3. Honestly, he could be a low-end wide receiver 2 if he can be as good as we saw him be in college, and kind of keep on and continuing to capitalize on the opportunities he's getting. So upside guy there if you want to go and get him. And then you got Geronimo Allison. Some disappointing news with a concussion. So he's probably going to be out this week, but still, when he's been playing every week, he's gotten some good opportunities. He's looked pretty solid in an Aaron Rodgers offense. It's always going to be good. He's going to be probably in that wide receiver 3 conversation the rest of the year, as long as he stays healthy. So you can go and pick him up if people kind of drop him, or if he's available on your waiver wire. Then Dede Westbrook, he had a really good week. I think he had like 10 grabs in this game last week against the Jets. And without Leonard Fournette, they're going to be a little bit more passive, you would imagine, with Blake Bortles. TJ Yeldon, not a great runner, and he kind of is more suitable in this offense for them to kind of spread it out, maybe more shotgun. And Dede Westbrook could be like a kind of guy they kind of run their running game almost through with the shorter passes as he plays in the slot. So 17% owned. I think his opportunities should go up as the year goes on. He's a really good matchup next week against the Chiefs. So I think he could be a low-end wide receiver 3. His upside isn't great week to week, but like when they're kind of in these closer games when they have to pass, he could have some solid weeks. So I think that's a good ad at only 17% owned. And then Taywan Taylor. That's a speedy guy with Rashard Matthews leaving. He has a good amount of ability to do some damage in this offense. He had 9 targets This past game, 7 for 77. It did go to overtime, so that kind of added a little bit more to his plate, but still, 63% of the snaps. That was a season high for him. And he looked really good, so I mean, like, if he can continue that momentum, I think he could be another guy in the wide receiver 3, wide receiver 4 conversation, as they really don't have a second receiving option of Corey Davis. Corey Davis has been peppered with the targets every single week. I think he's averaging 10 per game. So Taylor could eat into this target share a little bit more, and Marcus Mariota should be able to get healthier in the next few weeks. He did have that nerved issue with his elbow, but I think every week that goes by, he should be getting a little bit healthier, so they will be able to kind of open up the offense a little bit more, and Taywan Taylor should be the wide receiver 2 in that offense, so has some ability there. And for my final guy, this is more of a short-term option, as Will Fuller went down with a hamstring injury this past week, and they came out and said that he probably wouldn't have been able to come back in to that game, even though they said they held him out, but now they're coming out and saying that he wouldn't have been able to come back in or something like that. So I'm imagining he's probably going to be out this week, as he had the same hamstring injury in week 1 that held him out, and also in training camp. So with these hamstring injuries, normally they kind of hold the guy out for at least a week or 2 when it kind of pops back up on the radar. So I think Kiki Kuti, I don't know how to really say his name, but he was really good in college. He was like a reception monster there in college, and he had 11 grabs this past week. Again, another game that went to overtime, so it kind of added a couple more opportunities to him, but still 15 targets, 11 grabs. Similar to Taywan Taylor, this offense really doesn't have another receiving option besides like Will Fuller and DeAndre Hopkins. So if Will Fuller is out, then Kuti could have like a solid like 7 to maybe 8 targets a game without him. So he'll be like a solid wide receiver 3, a plug-and-play guy. If you have an injury to wide receiver, like a bye week with like Mike Evans or something like that, you can go and get Kuti. If you have like T.Y. Hilton who went down, hopefully his name is Kuti, because it sounds kind of weird, but I think it might be like Cutie or something like that. I don't know, but that's the final guy, short-term option. So Callaway, like I've been mentioning, love the talent, has the ability. I mean, those air yards are great to look at. And then Allison, a safe wide receiver 3 when he's healthy. Westbrook, kind of similar, more of a lower upside wide receiver 3. Taywan Taylor, probably a wide receiver 4 right now, but he could work himself into like a wide receiver 3 if he continues to get more snaps and more opportunities. So that is it for wide receiver. And for tight end, tight end's been a train wreck this year. Every guy, it seems like it's going down week in, week out. We had Hunter Henry hurt, Tyler Eifert, and there's other guys I can't think of on the top of my head. But Vance McDonald, this guy's looked really good in the last 2 weeks on the primetime games with that stiff arm to Tampa Bay. And then the last game, he had another like 30-yard catch and run where he was just trucking everyone. So this guy adds another dimension to this Pittsburgh offense, and he has a great matchup this week against the Falcons, where I think he can do some damage, similar to what he's been doing the last 2 weeks. Probably like a 6 for like 70 potential in this game against Atlanta, which should be a shootout. 2 bad defenses, and yeah, I think this offense for the Steelers is really struggling to run the ball, so they're going to continue to pass the ball a lot with that Le'Veon Bell, with Connor kind of struggling on the ground. They've been averaging 46.5 pass attempts per game, so there's enough opportunity to go around for Juju, Antonio Brown, and even Vance McDonald. So like a third option and that pass heavy of an offense, he can still be like a low end tight end 1 with the opportunity to be a tight end 1 the rest of the year. So 43% owned, you can go and get him if you're struggling at tight end. And then Cameron Brate, he's more of a short term answer as OJ Howard. He's going to be out the next 2 to 4 weeks, they're saying. So I think Cameron Brate could definitely have some value. The annoying part is that he has a bye week here, so maybe you can kind of stash him and then go with another streamer this week, and then you got Cameron Brate for like 2 weeks after the bye, and I think you could have some tight end 1 value, as well as Tampa Bay, another team that throws the ball a ton. Their defense is absolutely abysmal. They just allowed Mitch Trubisky to throw for 6 touchdowns against them, so Brate and the Bucs should be throwing the ball a lot, so it has some ability, and he has that connection with Jameis Winston, who's going to be starting in Week 6. So then for my final guy, Ricky Seals-Jones, another kind of guy, more does some speculation on this Cardinals offense. I think with Rosen, they're going to have some more ability passing the ball. I think he looked really accurate in this past week against the Seahawks. And if they can just continue to get some more sustained drives, not as many 3-and-outs, Seals-Jones could continue to get around like 6 targets or so in this offense and get around like these good kind of ability. I mean, tight end, like I said, a train wreck. So Seals Jones could have the ability to step into the tight end one conversation. Not as safe as a guy like Cameron Brate and Vance McDonald going forward. It definitely has the talent. His hands need to be a little bit more assured. He has dropped a few passes this year, but he's a great athlete. Can stretch the field for this Cardinals offense. So that's the final tight end and the final guy for my waiver wires for week 5. So I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Be sure to slap a like on it if you did. Like I said, it really helps me out. And if you happen to be new here, hit that subscribe button and continue to get these waiver wire pickups. So good luck on the wire. Any questions, like I said, you can tweet at me at MoneyWebby, and you can comment on the video down below. So that is it. Hope you guys enjoyed, and we'll see you back here again next week.